Have you ever felt that secret little thrill of joy when plans suddenly get canceled? Well, today we're going to dive deep into the psychology of being a homebody. And I'll tell you right now, it has absolutely nothing to do with being lazy. It's actually something way more profound. Okay, picture this. Your phone buzzes. You look down, it's a text. So sorry, have to cancel tonight. Now, be honest with yourself for a second. What's that very first feeling that washes over you? Is it a little bit of disappointment, or is it a huge wave of pure relief?
If you know that feeling of relief I'm talking about, that sudden sense of a heavy weight just vanishing from your shoulders, it is so important to understand this. That is not laziness. Nope. There's something much, much deeper going on in your mind.
So what is that feeling, really? Well, technically, you could call it relief from an anticipated cognitive load. But let's just put that in simple terms. It's not that you dislike your friends. It's that you're avoiding the sheer mental exhaustion that socializing can demand from you.
And think about what you do right after you get that text. You probably wait a few minutes before you reply, right? You're not mad. You're just trying to craft the perfect response that hides the fact that you're secretly doing a little happy dance.
So this brings us to where that relief actually comes from. It's the stress that builds up before you even go out. For a true homebody, this isn't a rare thing. Pretty much every social invitation kicks off this familiar and, honestly, stressful mental process. It's like an anxiety you can set your watch to.
Before the party even starts, your mind is already there, and it's running on overdrive. You're asking yourself all these questions. Who am I going to talk to? What if the conversation just stops? Okay, how long do I actually have to stay before I can leave? You've basically lived through the entire night before you've even tied your shoes.
So this mental prep becomes like a whole strategic mission. You're not picking an outfit to look good. You're picking it for maximum comfort. You're literally pre-planning conversation starters, and you're calculating the absolute earliest time you can politely make your exit. It's a social survival checklist. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? That mental pre-run is so exhausting that by the time you actually show up to the event, your social battery is already half drained.
So, what happens when you finally get to the party? You'd think the hard part's over, but no, the mental work doesn't stop. It actually gets more intense. This is where the real heavy lifting begins.
And you experience this weird disconnect. Your body is physically in the room, but your mind feels like it's a million miles away. And it's not checked out. It's working hard, analyzing everything, trying to cope with this overwhelming flood of social information. So how do you deal with it? You develop these subtle little strategies. When you walk in, you're not scanning for faces you know. You're scanning for a safe spot. You'll always pick a spot in the corner over the center of the room. And your phone? That becomes your shield. It's a prop to make you look busy, to give you a moment to just breathe. You would think the second you walk out that door, the exhaustion would just stop, right? Nope. For so many people, the mental marathon keeps on going, long after you're back in the comfort of your own home.
Psychologists call this rumination. Basically, your mind gets stuck in a replay loop, going over every single conversation. You're picking apart what you said, thinking of all the better things you should have said, and trying to decode every little glance. It's an absolutely draining cycle.
And here's the key thing. Long after everybody else has forgotten about the party, your mind is still there. It's redirecting the scenes, trying to perfect a performance that's already over. And that is why the fatigue runs so deep. It's 100% mental. And then you walk through your front door. The change is immediate. It's powerful. All of that stress, all that mental noise, it just dissolves. You are finally back in your sanctuary.
Because what even is home when we talk about it like this? It's not just a physical building. It's a psychological safe space. It is the one place in the entire world where you can take off the social mask and just stop performing for an audience.
That feeling of total relaxation you get, that's you finally putting down that massive invisible weight you've been carrying. The weight of constantly analyzing people's faces, carefully building every sentence, and feeling like you have to prove yourself. At home, you can just exist.
And this really brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. This preference for staying home, it's not about avoiding people, and it's definitely not laziness. It's a fundamental search for authenticity. Just let that sink in for a minute. The outside world often requires you to put on a show, to change yourself a little bit just to fit in. But home is the one place where you're accepted for exactly who you are, no acting necessary.
So let's bring it all the way back to that text message. The absolute joy you feel from a canceled plan isn't relief from seeing your friends. It's the relief of being freed from the exhausting burden of having to perform. It's the freedom from having to constantly change who you are.
And that leaves us with one final thought. If home is the place where you can be your most authentic self without any fear or fatigue, then where is that place for you? Is it a physical location? Is it a person? Or is it maybe just a state of mind?